of Her Story. And I'm going to start with, hopefully you get to see who's on our screen. Her name is Elizabeth Lohr. Now, unfortunately, I just got a message from Elizabeth that things are very hectic in her work world. So she asked for me to read the bio that she had sent in that typically would have gone on the poster in Nelson Hall for her. So as a first-generation Hmong college graduate, Elizabeth Lohr has pushed many boundaries to achieve her goals. Being the oldest of 6 and a minority, she felt many limitations when deciding what her future career would be. Although she faced numerous challenges in college, the supportive community at Poole College of Management helped her define her voice and solidify her self-confidence in who she is. Currently, Elizabeth works in the human resources field and plans on becoming an entrepreneur in the future by starting her own business brand. She wants to empower individuals to step out of their comfort zone and to ignore the negativity. She stands true to her own life motto, and I'm going to do my best to say this, Myolyfe. It's spelled M-Y-O-L-Y-F-E, and it stands for make your own life. Live your fears every day. So she's doing amazing things, and we are appreciative of her joining our conference. And our next guest that is going to share her story is with us, Olga. Are you out there with us?
I am. I certainly am.
Hello. Hello. Well, we're excited to have your story. So please take it away.
All right. Did you want me on the video? Because when I try to start it, it says that the host has stopped it.
You should be able to restart it now, Olga. Let me know if you can.
All righty. Not yet.
All right, I'll take care of it.
All right, here we go. Okay, so hello, everybody. It's exciting to be with you. One of my favorite aspects of what's going on right now is our rising up to creativity and how we're all finding new ways to be able to get our lives accomplished, and in other situations, maybe let some things go. I am an NCSU alumni twice, graduated in business and econ in 1980, during which time I was working at the bank across the street, which back then was called Wachovia. I think it's now called Wells Fargo. And I graduated from at that time and went to work directly on Wall Street Raleigh, that is, which was Merrill Lynch down on Salisbury Street. And believe it or not, during that time, we were still trying to revive downtown. It took several decades and probably all of you who I'm speaking to finally get the downtown back alive. So I thank you for that. You know, when we're talking about her story, taking out the toxic, sorting through all the information that we receive, back in those days, we didn't have as much information coming at us as we do nowadays. The big information that I had coming at me was what my parents wanted me to do, because we were immigrants from Cuba. I came to Raleigh in May of 1960 as a baby as a result of communism in Cuba. My father had been also an NC State alumni back in the 50s, and he went back to Cuba, got married, thought he was going to have his life in Cuba, but as things started to get a little bit unraveled, he said, well, I think I'll just come back to the States with my family for a short time until they get worked out. And here I am still, thanks be to God. But the point of this is that I was raised in a family of 3 girls. I have 2 sisters, and we were raised, this is gonna sound sexist, but this is how it was back then. We were really raised as men. And the reason I say that is because we were raised for survival. We were raised to be able to survive on our own without depending on anyone. And during the time I was being raised, believe it or not, that was not the norm. So I'm thankful that we're all here for one reason or another, and I think we're all survivors around here, and we're going to be seeing a lot more survivors, I think, in the days to come. But my point is that in majoring in business and econ and going to work for Wall Street, I had about at least 2 decades of, thanks be to God, a very successful career. I did end up going to New York. I worked up and down the East Coast, managing money for all sorts of groups, companies, institutions, and also even some West Coast people out in LA. So it was very lucrative. It was very exciting. And while I was in New York, I met someone that I felt would be someone that I wanted to start a family with, just going straight to the point. Sometimes when we have an intuition, and I went with that and brought him back to Raleigh, continued to work. But when we married and had children, my maternal instincts kicked in, and I decided to leave that career. Now, I will go back a few years. Before that happened, that wonderful career afforded me to be able to go back to NCSU one more time and participate in their Master of Art in Liberal Sciences. And that is when I did what I really wanted to do. I studied what I really wanted to study. So that brings me to that point of learning to make choices that further our ability to engage in radical self-love. I took care of myself through that. Once I felt like I had already taken care of, what my parents wanted for me, I was able to use the tools that I had through the company I was working for, which back then was called E.F. Hutton. Many of the companies I worked for back then don't even exist anymore, because it was the time of Wall Street just being in total disarray. Some of you may be hearing that this week we went into market territory that we hadn't seen since Black Friday of Black Monday of 1987. I remember that day like it was yesterday. But anyway, so the MALS was a dream for me. The company I was with paid for it, and I went to school at night and also first thing in the morning, when there are parking spaces at 7 a.m. So it was great. But I did take care of myself. And frankly, I gave my thesis with my big tummy with my baby girl in June of 1995, and she was born in August of 95. My thesis was called Cuba, a very complicated problem. That also took care of some self-love, because I needed to do this research to be able to take care of some closure that I needed for myself, so that I could research what really happened instead of depending on what was being told to me through my family and through different traditions and secondhand and so forth. So had my children, left Wall Street, homeschooled them, and was very careful. There wasn't a lot of time for radical self-love during those days, and I paid for it. If I had it to go over again, I would have tried to find some more balance during that time. But fast forward, once they got a little bit older, my entrepreneurial and business spirit started to rear its head again. And probably by the time they were close enough to high school, so it would have been after 10 to 12, 13 years, I started to develop other businesses, starting with life and business coaching, and also different forms of teaching. And eventually my favorite, which is a teacher, a yoga teacher. So I was living in yoga clothes anyway, right? And barefoot, and just being able to just be myself by that point. So I started teaching at the Bikram Hot Yoga Studio, which is no longer there, on Strickland and Six Forks. I say that just in case anybody dropped in on that. But that is what really launched me into my current career, which again is a work from home job. As I was wearing yoga clothes, which we all dream to do as we work from home, a little glitch in our family life caused me to have to go back to Wall Street for a little while. Let's see, we're all girls on this call, is that right? Oh no, okay, so guys, cover your ears. First thing I had to do to go back to Wall Street is put on the regular business suit, and we know what we have to wear under those business suits. Sometimes they have underwires, and I was like a cat trying to be put in a bag. I was so uncomfortable, I was so miserable, but I didn't know any better. And as I went through my career again on Wall Street for a very short time, I went to a party that I had been invited to, and come to find out it was a ruby ribbon party. So we were trying on ruby ribbon, bra replacement, camisoles, and demiettes. Now, I had been invited to this party under the auspices of cocktails. But after the first cocktail, I tried it on, and I felt again like I was in my yoga clothes. So I bought a few pieces for myself. Fast forward, because I see the time's going on. The business opportunity was so simple and easy that I took advantage of it, thinking it was going to be a side project, again, to take care of myself, to have something to do on the side that I really enjoyed while I was doing something that I was not enjoying. And again, thanks be to God, He blessed me with a lucrative career that did so well that I was able to leave corporate America once again. And that's where I find myself now. So I invite you gals, and if there are some guys that want to really surprise your female mates, to visit my website, which is called hatemybra.com. That's right, HATEMYBRA.com, www.hatemybra.com. Check it out, and you'll see what I'm saying, because I don't want to give you a commercial. But it's been a wonderful experience, and at this point in my life, I am wise enough to be able to take care of myself, put on that airplane air mask first before you take care of others. So I'm thankful to be around some beautiful young people that already know that. And I thank you for listening and watching, and for doing this beautiful conference. Go Wolfpack.
Let's give Olga, that is amazing. A round of applause, virtual round of applause, right? Or you can do sign language for applause. All three of our stories we've heard today, and four with Elizabeth virtually, it really gives me inspiration to keep on providing the services and reaching out to the current students of Poole College of Management. And this kind of opportunity, you have given us definitely that vision for what all of this, can continue to evolve to. We don't know where our paths are leading, particularly in these times, but thank you so much for the very, very wise hindsight that we're able to get from everyone. Well, that is the end of our HerStories session at this point in time, and I'm going to hand the session back over to my colleagues, wherever they might be sitting.
Hi everyone, we're going to take a break from 11:45 until 12. We welcome you to grab some lunch and join us back here for our keynote address, which will be given by Gina Lofton, the Chief Technology Officer at Microsoft. We will see you back here at 12 o'clock.